Welcome to Western Mass News Digital Edition. I'm Chris Pisano.
And I'm Amanda Martin Ryan. We now know why there was a large police presence yesterday on Acushnet Avenue in Springfield. Police say that's where two men ran after a fight allegedly turned into a shooting in the area of Main and Winthrop Streets. The underage boy who was found on William Street at around 4 p.m. is expected to be okay. Meanwhile, the two suspects, 21-year-old Roberto Mercado and 24-year-old Christopher Cruz, were later found hiding in the basement of a multifamily home on Acushnet Avenue where they were arrested. Neither of them have been charged in connection to the shooting, which is still under investigation. But they do face charges for breaking into that home, with Cruz facing additional charges on 2 prior arrest warrants.
Restaurants in Northampton are stepping up to help reduce the amount of trash being produced in the city. And several businesses teaming up with the nonprofit Clean Water Action and Recyclable, a company who helps provide free reusable takeout containers, which customers can then check out and later return, kind of like a library book. Customers just download the Recyclable app, and it'll tell you where and how to return the containers, all free of charge. This helps eliminate single-use takeout containers that usually end up in the trash.
The Bay State may be getting a step closer to allowing the social consumption of marijuana. If the state's Cannabis Control Commission passes the plan during a vote tomorrow, people will be able to consume it in certain social settings. Those could include places like dispensaries and lounges. The commission's putting certain guardrails in place, though. Locations would be required to have a rideshare plan and serve food and water, but no alcohol. Municipalities will also be able to decide for themselves if they want to allow social consumption sites. If the vote goes through, it could still take several months before the first licenses are issued.
And a reminder from the Holyoke St. Patrick's Parade Committee today, as time's running out, to get your applications in for the 70th annual Holyoke Grand Colleen Pageant. This year, eligible young women from Holyoke, South Hadley, East Hampton, and Southampton are invited to apply before the January 3rd deadline. Applicants must be ages 17 to 22 as of March 17, 2026, unmarried, without children, and claim Irish ancestry. They must also submit a complete resume in addition to their application. The Grand Colleen will receive $3,000 to be used as a scholarship or a trip to Ireland, a professional portrait, and of course her tiara. The pageant will be held January 3rd, with the Grand Colleen and her court celebrating their Grand Coronation Ball on Valentine's Day at the Log Cabin in Holyoke.
All right, today is a first alert weather day. It's precipitation moving in over the next hour across the valley. Gray skies now, but we had a little dim sunshine. The precip held off. Readings actually came up into the lower 40s. We're at 38 now, but obviously 38 is significantly above the 32-degree mark. So we're still thinking in the valley it is going to be mainly rain, but those of us in the hill towns and say north of Route 2, that's where we could see maybe some accumulating snow. But from Springfield up into Franklin County, temperatures are in the middle and upper 30s. We'll come down a degree or two, but for the most part, it's going to be rain for the next few hours, ending by about 9 or 10 o'clock. It might end as a little wet snow in the valley, and it will be snow, and it's snowing, in fact, now across parts of Franklin County in the hill towns. But in the valley, you can kind of see the haves and have-nots right along Interstate 91. It's rain from Greenfield north and west and across the hills. That's where we are seeing some of that snowfall, and we'll be in it for the next few hours as it overspreads the area. It'll wind down between around 9 and 10 o'clock, and then the system moves out. And then get ready for the cold and the wind all over again. So next couple of hours, you can see it's rain in the valley, wet snow across the hill towns. By 7 or 8 o'clock, we're starting to see perhaps a changeover, but at that point, things are winding down. Notice your temperature profile. We're staying above freezing through midnight and into the wee hours of the morning in the valley. So we're not overly concerned about any icing after it. We'll probably dry out before that happens, before we go below freezing. By morning, though, we are down into the upper 20s and lower 30s, and we don't move much tomorrow. Temps stay steady. The wind ramps up. In fact, winds could gust up over 50 across the hill towns and higher terrain where there is a wind advisory. Nothing to maybe as much as an inch, primarily on areas that already have snow on the ground. So again, roads are wet. 1 to 3 north of Greenfield, out across the hill towns and higher terrain. So for tonight, 24 to 30 by morning. Snow, rain ending before midnight, becoming breezy, colder late. Then readings don't move much at all tomorrow. We're starting in the upper 20s. We're hanging out around freezing through about noontime. Then temps slide in the afternoon. And the wind ramps up as well. Winds will gust to around 30 miles per hour in the valley, but could gust up over 40 across the hills and higher terrain. So the wind chills are going to be in the single digits in teens, even going below zero as we go through the afternoon and into tomorrow night. Wind advisories in effect for the hill towns, for Berkshire County, Worcester County as well. This is where winds will be strongest. This is where we could see perhaps some scattered power outages. That's from 10 a.m. tomorrow through 10 a.m. Friday. All right, your next weather maker is a clipper system tracking to our south. Could bring us maybe some flurries or touch of light snow Saturday night into Sunday morning. Best chance of significant accumulating snow be out across the Cape and the islands as this thing races along. Tomorrow's the first alert weather day with the wind advisory, with the potential for some isolated scattered power outages. It's going to be cold too. I mean, temps near freezing, but again, those wind chills will be going down all day. Temperatures below normal for days to come. All right, that's your forecast. We'll have more weather, of course, top of the hour. Min and Chris, back to you.
Dan, thank you. It's the annual tradition basketball fans have had marked on their calendars across Western Mass, as today marks the opening day of the Hall of Fame Classic.
With college football coming to a close, the focus now shifts to hoops, with 4 of the biggest schools in the region converging at the birthplace of the Basketball Hall of Fame. Tonight's primetime game features UMass and Boston College. The Minutemen and Eagles squaring off at 7. It's the first time they'll meet in 11 years when UMass beat BC at the TD Garden.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching today's Western Mass News Digital Edition.
Also, be sure to tune into Western Mass News at 4, coming up soon on ABC 40. Have a great day.